In most cases, replacing weather stripping on a door is a fairly simple process. You pull the old weather stripping out of a long slot along the frame, then insert the new weather stripping in the same slot. But if you have a 35-year-old door like I do, that likely won't work. Why? The slots that hold the weather stripping on the old door are configured differently. Standard inexpensive replacement weather stripping just doesn't fit correctly. So you'll need to find flat metal weather stripping with a flexible seal that looks something like this. If my experience holds true for you, it will probably be one of the most expensive styles of weather stripping in the store. The metal piece screws along the frame and the door will press against the seal, keeping cold air out in winter and air-conditioned air indoors during the summer. My clueless cats have clawed my weather stripping and even some of the door frame to shreds. First step, of course, is to remove the old weather stripping. Even though it's worn and damaged, this particular section doesn't need to be removed, as the edge of the door covers this, and the new weather stripping will seal the door from the other side. A couple of screws on each side and at the top of the frame hold my old weather stripping in place. After unscrewing, pry with a small chisel or putty knife and pull the old weather stripping out. We'll install new weather stripping on each side of the door first. This is important because you'll need to make some precision cuts on the top piece of weather stripping for it to fit correctly. Measure along both sides of the door at least twice just to make sure, then measure and cut your weather stripping. I used a hacksaw on the metal and a pair of scissors to slice through the flexible seal. This weather stripping has oblong screw holes to allow for adjustment against the door. Make sure everything is free of debris and that the door is closed all of the way. Put the new weather stripping in place along one side of the door, the metal strip along the frame, and the flexible seal against the door. How close is close enough? Position the weather stripping close enough so a piece of paper cannot be easily slid between the weather stripping and the door. Measure and mark the holes for drilling, being sure to allow room for adjustment. Drive the screws in part way, but not all of the way, so you can adjust the weather stripping before securing it permanently. In the same manner, measure, cut, and place the new weather stripping along the other side of the door and screw it on. For the top piece, you'll need to take two measurements. First, measure between the flexible seals on both sides. You'll want them to line up exactly. If they overlap, you won't have a good, tight seal. Next, measure along the very top of the frame. This measurement will be the length of the metal portion of the weather stripping and will run along the entire top of your door frame. If you wish, you can also cut the metal at an angle on each end, like I did. Either way, the flat metal strip will be longer on each end than the strip of flexible seal. You can slide the flexible seal out of the way for easy cutting. Be sure to cut the flexible seals at each end at right angles so they will butt up against the seals on the sides of the door. Again, you can always slide the flexible seal out to make cutting easier. Put the top piece of weather stripping in place. Make sure the flexible seals line up in each corner. Screw the weather stripping into position. Check the entire seal using a piece of paper. Remember, the piece of paper should not be able to slide easily between the weather stripping and the door. And if you need to make adjustments, you can always loosen screws as needed and reposition the weather stripping. Here's a quick view of the new weather stripping from inside the house. A continuous seal all the way around. Now if only I could figure out a way to keep my cat from clawing at the weather stripping.